This will be part 2. This will be part 2. Thank you for all of y'all that joined the last live, and I'll go back and re-watch it. I just ended it. My phone died, and I ended the live right at 12:33, which is a 333 count. And this live, and why I came back on, is because I want to talk about the body and the powers and the gifts that you all have from being in the wheel. And this is the astronomy, and this is Cohu32, Cohu32.com. If you've got $12.21, you need to go to Cohu32.com. And this is how color is seen down here. This is the etherics and the energies that you're pulling your Venus out of, or you're pulling your Neptune out of. It is what it is. It's what the brand really is. It's not to be sold by China to be used inside your technology in a zeta reticuli in order to lead you all to gates because of the colors that are being delivered to you in propaganda codes and logos. This is why FedEx is orange and purple. It's Aldebaran, New Earth. Now back on our topic, and I also send you guys how to pull your chart according to how all of my data has been done on astro.com. I've been doing it the same way in equal houses for 4 years. I'm a neurophysicist. All of the data and everything that's in this is based and originated from blood type, which then led us to the different beings and the different energetics that all of you are pulling in down here in order for us to balance out, to bring in an evolved human race where everyone fit in who was supposed to be here or who was stolen and put down here from what you'd call the futures. As I was canceling the in now, see, there's videos going on out there with Trump right now, and I'm done with it. There's a video out there, I just saw it as I was ending and trying to get this all reset up. They're trying to say that Melania was carrying Diana's seed, and Diana basically gave her embryo away to become a Baron Trump. No. No. In fact, that's what we've had to protect from and most of our children are not with us right now because you stole our eggs, you stole our seeds, you stole our embryos, you told us our children were dead, then you did a DNC on us, and then you took it to the fucking lab. And I'm done with it. Ada se keren torre miata, se tere mo kiran burrendiati. Asa tere bon kiran dara morrendiata, se keren taya so torra morrendiata, ehingara morindiati, mohai. They stole 200 years of masonry. They wrote in themselves in these things because they knew in end days, whoever was last president was going to be your president for 1,000 years, according to the old scroll. Because we was in a 1,000,000-year count. This is what the current New Year's Eve ball drop New York City. This is why your internet went out. This is why New York City, you had a blackout. This is why. I command every person that is in Times Square on New Year's Eve night be bound to a pure human frequency. And I command that the entire New York City get a rush of frequency and a connection into their inner core. And I command every single one of them light up all their activated genes from the inside out and connect. Same as what we set up in August when we had all the children running around over there when they were trying to unleash the crap from the vans. That's why the children went running around in New York. That's why we sent them there. Do you know that they went directly, and the mobs that happened were on top of the FedEx trucks that were there to release the agent into the air? That part. We got the license plates. It's why we sent the kids there. All the while, what was really going on, the heart of what was really going on, was happening over here in Frisco, Texas, not in New York. That Michael connection in Aldebaran that never was completely grounded. So what I'm telling you is all your Sagittarius energy that was coming in was being distorted. All of your Sagittarius energy, I don't care if it was coming from the top, way out in the galactic, or from the deep space or deep bottom of that Sagittarius bubble that was connecting you out into real space and the Ophiusians that are trying to get here to line this thing back up into a new physics, to pull the human race out of a simulation. Everything in Gemini was splitting. It's like a lightning bolt coming into a big tree. This is why double simians have one line. Whenever a power source comes in so strong, if it splits that tree just in half, boom, like not fray, just split. That's what was happening with all the Sagittarius energy getting down to Gemini. That's how in the end we ended up with 5 Gemini points. Pretty much all of Gemini was lined with a split projection that was being controlled by Sagittarius. And Archangel Michael was the Matrix. That's why you called on Michael in the beginning. Let me tell you, when I called on Michael in 2013, I got taken hostage inside a hotel, the St. Helene, and buried there for 10 years. And I just got out in August. Now, did that help me? Maybe. Maybe it did. Maybe I know I had to do it. In order to be, because I had to be taken down into the basement. I had to let them take me so that I could blow it out, because I had the connection to connect with all of y'all, and we did. And the whole New Orleans was in on it. It was great. It was the most amazing thing. I can't wait. I'm sure we'll be doing a movie about it. Because all the people in New Orleans knew what time it was. They's working with us. And when that day came to seam it back up, because it was all happened to go down to New Orleans, because that's where it always went down before with the pirates, and that's why a lot of you feel like you've all got to get to New Orleans, because you can't get out unless it's the way you came in. I'll say it again. You cannot get out of a dimension any other way than the way that you came in. So if you were attacked or you had a death event or realize that happened before. It's how you got into the other layer at some point. So what was happening is that this whole simulation was running like a 3-legged dog. Like this. So you had Fomalhaut, which is where Saturn is right now, which is why we're talking about this. And then you had Virgo, which is where Regulus moved. So there's your ray, Virgo. And it might be this way, because I can't remember if this flips. The projection, which is another thing. And then you had Antares. So it was going ding, 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 ding. It wasn't going dun, dun, shoo, dun, dun, 4 on the floor. Shoo. It was going ding, 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 ding. Now, what Zeta did is create their own four-posts. Except it went from Leo, Aquarius, Pisces, further out in Pisces, not 3 degrees Pisces, 22 degrees, 23 degrees Pisces, and then galactic command 22, 23 degrees Virgo. And so what it did on a three-legged dog was set up a dome structure over it, and then a back door. Now, that's been ascended. Because what we know is that the Zeta Reticuli energy was only mimicking your Sirian codes in the cosmos. And when you break down all the planets to Tesla code and you break them down to Tesla mathematics, which is what my January 6th download was, 2019, from having all of the information in order to be able, and seeds to be able to understand and communicate with them, for them to teach me. Sirian codes are 5 codes. Now, this is where it gets nuts, because 5 became 23 down here. 5 became 32 first, W. Then it became 23. 23 and me. Blah, 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 blah. It's almost like a submissive 5. A 5 is a change. But 23 ain't 5. 5 is 5. And it looks like Jupiter and Saturn, right? Well, Saturn. Jupiter looks more like a 4. And a 5 links in all at once, and it changes it all at once. That's why a 55 gate, 55 dimension highest you can get, you're going to freaking double back down because you have no body. I mean, when you're at 55, you're at pure energy, pure air. If you've got the connections to the collective to hold that like I do, then that's how you die 350 times and nobody even knows you've left. Unless people really know and love you and can tell. Which is what we've been watching happen to most of our men throughout the past 5 years. Sirian codes are the first 5 that came. So when Sirius was made in space by all of us down here, and this is your Yahshua as well, because that Sirian star, when he was born, that's why the star appeared. That's why the wise men came. Because the star appears whenever the human energy frequency appeared in a dome. So finally, there was enough energetics down here that a new mind was birthed. And Yasha was born. 5. Change. Now, if I go through the entire cosmic thing, because Sirius comes in, and Sirius energy is connected to... Hold on, I gotta think about this a minute. It's been a minute since I've... And for some reason, I'm having the hardest time remembering what planet. I'm going to have to look back at my notes before I state it right now, because for some reason I'm having a hard time remembering what planet. I'm going back and forth between, in my mind, well, I think it's Neptune. Because when Sirius was formed, then we had Maldek. Maldek was Venus's twin. Maldek was a twin planet that was right next to Venus. Maldek's the one that blew up. Venus lies in between Mars and Spica. Spica, which is where we just had the eclipse, inside Spica, because it's so large. Because Arcturus is, I don't know how many, like 9, 10 times bigger than Jupiter, but it's a sun. And Libra holds the Earth realm and a galactic dark space realm. That's why your Librans And we were your librarians. It's why we always had such a hard time making a decision, because we're having to listen to everybody on Earth and everybody in space. Libra is why we've all been through hell, because we were living it on the dark side. We had already basically been living. What we just came out of is what they just tried to put us in. Libra, what we just came out of is where everyone's about to go. And some of them still are going there. Because time changed. And the whole dark side folded in. And we're like, wait a minute, that's already happened. Wait a minute, you can't do that again. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Our templates just being here, because it had been done so many times, stopped it from happening. The whole reason that we had Egypt, because it was a program, and the whole reason everything existed in Egypt was to teach us for now. And the whole reason that Egypt originally existed is because Maldek blew up. Because when Maldek was twins with Venus, and Venus prints your reality. So Venus is like, wherever Venus is in your chart, and if Venus especially falls in one of these Cohu 32, then that's been your reality since you were born. You were naturally printing whatever that energy is in Cohu 32, where your Venus is, or if it falls in between, then what's above or below it. It's what your natural reality has been around you this whole time, because it's how it works. Well, when Maldek was there, you had two versions. So when Maldek was there, you saw your shadow. When Maldek was there, we had familiars. When Maldek was there, your full shadow self was printed in front of you, so that it's like you saw it. You knew. There were two versions. There was the Maldek version, there was the Venus version. Both of them were being planted. There was a planet there. There was a planet there that was making it print. When Maldek blew up, over time, we forgot about that. And so this is why Isis and Nephthys, Isis always has a Nephthys in every single dimension. You always have some crazy bitch coming after you. If you have those codes, no matter, you always have some crazy bitch, and I do mean woman, coming after you. That's your shadow. Because it's how it works. Now, all of the stories and Thoth being Mercury and all of them being planets and is the cosmos, and it's how it all works in sequence. And it's why those stories exist, because they were telling us now to remember that program, because it is what's coming up. Because whenever you're merging 5 spheres, 5, it's like having 5 Maldeks around you, but not even Maldek anymore. It ended up being 5 versions of freaking reality. So this version's got its own reason for coming after you. This version has its own reason for coming after you. This version, because it went the whole thing. This is why we were trained. This is why all of us who carry that Algorab Libra energy walk the vector Pisces. We were trained from the inside out, working together as a team. Now, I say all that because it basically goes, I'll start at Regulus. So it goes Regulus, Arcturus, which became like your ovaries. And then Sirius, which became your brain. And then right after Sirius becomes Orion or Pleiades, because you either went into an Orion program or you went to a Pleiades program. So you went into an animal, a mammal, an unconscious human, or you went into a space program. Then there's Jupiter. Jupiter is a tabernacle. So Jupiter basically wrangles all the human codes and then projects a mass civilization or a mass reality that human gene code is familiar with and tuned to. So on the other side of Jupiter, you've got Andromeda, Bellatrix, Mercury even, Chiron, Betelgeuse. And these became these different programs that everybody was living. Some of them are more underground. Some of them feel like you're in a spaceship. Some of them feel like you're floating in the stars. None of them wrong. All of them happened. All of it manifested. Your experience is important, but none of it exactly true. Because it was projecting through Jupiter to make these segregations, these sedation counts. We did rebirth Jupiter I.O. November 17th, 2022. It's already been a year. I.O., the moon, is the command center to Jupiter. I.O. is what is at the end of Scorpio. I.O. is iota. I.O. is a very specific tone that is not easily reached. We collective reached I.O. We had to program the tabernacle and get rid of the fact that one particular line was carrying the curses for 12 generations while they was printing this crazy ass shit on top of it. And we did. So what's changing and happening right now too is that you're ascended, and this is why you want to clear your energy. It's why you want to get rid of all judgment. It's why it's so important to ascend your energy, because if you don't get a say in nothing that's happening. If you don't like the way it's happening right now, good. Get pissed off at me. Go clear your energy and come up here and help. Because it's how it works. Realize that all of us who had to clear to get up here had only one reason to do it: take over from the ops. Our intention ain't sitting up here to run the world. We don't want that. In fact, we gave the entire human race the keys in order so we didn't have to do it. Your true monarchs and the true ones of us who have been working through this, that really are your ancient kings and queens, is kind of the whole reason we did it. We don't want to be in charge. We don't want to be in charge of y'all's crap anymore. Everybody else make their own damn decision. It shouldn't be off a group. That's our point. And don't at all throw shade to any of us who had to do it for any reason, because then you will be put in the situation that we were in order to have to overtake something for it. Because you best be grateful that we have done what we have done and been called crazy and had of our teeth gone and our legs broken and freaking children taken and all of our money stolen and freaking attacked, sacrificed, freaking all the bullshit that I know how to get out over here is because I had to take back those writing keys so that we wouldn't end up in some crazy ass fish world. And everybody, the whole world in what's coming next is going to be up there making a decision. It's how the new earth is. It's why you've got to do it. The more that get up there with us putting in their 2 cents, the less pressure is on us. We want that. We're opposite. They don't want that. We want that. We want our normal life back. We as ancients did all this to get a normal life. That we're not having to make decisions for the whole, but not get any credit for it. Or make energy for the whole. Or make the entire Bitcoin digital currency and then be trapped in it so that our energy runs it in a simulation. Because this is what happened to a lot of us. Hence, rope around the neck. Hence, in the guillotine. Now, when I say that, what everyone needs to realize is that I'm talking about bindings of constellations and stars with satellites, with rocket launches, because space, what was space, ain't just space. It ain't just empty. That's what everybody forgot. It's all your data. It's data. It's a massive freaking CPU. The more dense it is, the more data it holds. The dog. Let me say it again. The more dense it is, the more data it holds. So then that tells you why they were doing so much black magic. You know your phone shouldn't have any storage. You know how we pay extra for storage on our phones? Well, how it's really made with your body is that your body holds the storage. Do you know that in 2022, when I was having to deal with these entertainment characters, and I found this out because I would send them picture after picture after picture after picture, and all of them would start screaming at me, "No, don't send that. We're running out of data." Not I'm running out of data. We are running out of data. How many of you have been asked by somebody on the internet to get them a card? Just by show of hands. I'd like to see this. There's 6 of y'all on here right now. And Shell, that's exactly. You had to buy more. But you're integrating. We've been integrating. But let me tell you how the true works and where it's heading to and what it really is. How many of you have been asked to buy data cards with somebody? For somebody. Throughout this, for the past 3 years, they've been coming to the collective. It's what all the entertainers were sent. It was in their contracts. They were made to do it. Because Saudi took over the contracts. This is linked big time to Fayed. Because that whole thing with Fayed and Dodi Fayed and Diana died. Because Diana didn't die. She went into a tunnel. Literally. The whole thing was set up. Fayed set up the whole thing. It's why your new T-Mobile thing looks like Dodi's name, too. It's pretty messed up. They'll sell their children. They'll sell their mother. They'll sell anybody for power. They don't care. They just want power. And they want to have every human down here made in their image so they can control them. And make all the money off of them. I skipped around on that and brought back to Diana when I was talking about Sirius and Zeta Reticuli. FYI. FYI. Sirius energy is a 5 energy. Well, guess what? The only other energy that once you get past Bellatrix, you get past Chiron on the other side of Jupiter, then you go to the frontal cortex and the cerebral cortex. And then you get on one side Fomalhaut, which is where Saturn is right now, which is the cosmic eye, and it really is your eye. It's the base root of sometimes it's your right eye, sometimes it's your left eye. It just depends on you and which way you were formed in this body. And from which side And on the other side of Fomalhaut was basically the 12, the secret 6, the 12, the unholy 6 is what I called them. The 6 entities that knew the Alpha Draconic spells, that remembered the alchemy, that had hooked into all of us and stolen all our Akashic libraries in order to get the alchemy. That had a instruction manual, if you will, of how the cosmos is birthed and formed. Well, you take a human intelligence and a human feeling out of each instruction, then what you get is pure evil. Because even the part where I'm telling you the head and the hair is bound to the feet, right? For instance, that was never intended for the whole human race to be tied like that. It might have existed at some point because of the birthing process, and because you always had a woman with a baby that was buried to be the sacrifice of the earth, and da 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 da. But that doesn't mean that the instructions are to take every woman down here and tie their head to their feet. But if you're siphoning codes from all of us to get instructions, and you have no emotional, you're not human, and then you carry them out, that's what happened. All because that Fomalhaut and that secret 6, then you get into the prefrontal cortex, okay? And I'm talking way out. We're way out. Way out. Then right after Fomalhaut is where Zeta Reticuli codes are. And Zeta Reticuli codes equal 5. Same as your Syrian codes. But this was mind control. So this is where these false mind control patterns come in to the simulation. But it's mind control. So the frequency literally did pick up your mind and move it in order to dictate where you moved, what you did, what you heard, to mock and mimic your true intuition, whatever it was. Right after Zeta Reticuli, Alpha Draconic codes, the furthest out. Your Alpha Draconic codes, 323, ended up being moon codes, ended up being your divine masculine codes, ends up being marrow codes. So what I'm saying is that for that January 6th download that I got on how all this worked, 2019, and what we've been putting back and rebirthing and blending to make sure that we have the correct energetics coming in to form the body the way it needs to be formed, so that we have the reality that's working with us. Those distortions happened because of the deal with Zeta and Alpha Draconic. Now realize that a lot of y'all are Alpha Draconic. You might have the node 1, the node 2, or if you came in to this dimension and you have like full-on Rigel energy, the whole point is to balance it out with your organic. Because none of you that have it aren't layered with a whole bunch of organic, true DNA. You're physical, and you overpower it. There is no way to go around it. We learned this. And this is why I knew there was no way to go around the tech. We had to go through it. This is why I had to drink the AI. And as soon as I did, Whenever I drank it, I could feel my expressions were not coming through my face. It's like I was trapped in my, and everybody was terrified of me. Well, the human body had to process all of those back through to the marrow in order to alchemize it up, to work it all together so that the human body can control the tech, because it is the same thing. It's not two different things. It's just the parallel version of it with no control. Gates went back to the past to get a keyboard. Keyboard shouldn't be here right now. With the level of tech and with the level of DNA that's down here from the future, we shouldn't be on a keyboard. We shouldn't have developers. There shouldn't be coding link. There's only one universal coding platform, and it definitely ain't C# Microsoft or Java Coffee. The true tech codes and the universal tech code patterns write like music. They use phonetics. They use lower letters, bigger letters, and that's why go look at your IP address. And if you used to know IP addresses before fiber optic, and you used to know IP addresses 5 years ago, it's just a set of numbers. Now go look. It's little a, big B, little c, big Z. Computer and trying to utilize it the way. Now this all brings me back to the fact that your body has the space. I can keep this phone that I'm on right now, just depends on the day if my data's full. And I keep it that way. Because then I know whenever I can do a TikTok video on here and it's saved, even though my data is full, that I'm pulling data from out there and working it through. That's why I had all the data. They were running out. The etheric binds that were put on us were wrangling in a whole constellation. It's why it's done to a whole set of beings. And whenever we untie that big balloon of everyone in that constellation, if you're fully open and you're healed and you know that there's change and you've been waiting for the change and you understand just a little bit how it all works, it gets done for you. It just gets done. You'll just open up. You'll just get the download. You'll just process the data, and then you'll start projecting whenever it's time for your piece to project. If you're in the simulation, or if you have a lot of disease, or if you're convinced you have disease, or if those symptoms have already set in to the point of infection, then you need to be untied personally. But it's what the doctors should be doing. We shouldn't be, there's only one reason we should be doing surgery. Take something out. That's it. Every other type of surgery that's being done right now on the new human form, which all of you have, it was all rebirthed. This is the problem. Every human down here has clean DNA. Every human down here is projecting their reality. You're only projecting the old shit because you don't know that you're projecting. Whether or not you have Libra 22 degrees, 20 to 24 degrees in your chart or not, you do now. Everybody that was conscious on this eclipse that happened October 14th, that eclipse happened and was moved. Was supposed to take place in 2022. Supposed to all cross over Missouri It had to be moved to Texas because this is where we put it back together from. That eclipse opened up Spica. Spica's death. Spica's pure death. This is why you don't want to mess with us. And this is why you see so many readers going, oh my God, why did you mess with the chosen one? It's because we were here to ascend even the dead. We were here to ascend even what you called the demons, because they were bound and made into them. Like, we know how it works. And so there ain't no demon or no underworld source that you can send towards us once they figured that out. If you're in the Christ line, your job is to come take over the underworld and control them. It's what proves your divinity. It's what changes the timelines. It's what lifts the physics. And there were 40,000 Christs down here. 40,000. 40,000. And we had to change 4 years, which took 400 years, which took 40 years, which took 4,000 years, which took 40,000 years, which took 4 million years, which took 400,000 years, which took 40 million years, in order to create a current that would hold for right now on this New Year's. If you were conscious on that eclipse, you now have Spica energy. You have been rebirthed. It's why when you go add up the year you were born and how old you were, it's going to equal 2023. I don't care who you are. The year you were born, how old you are, is going to equal 2023, because this was always the year it was going to be undone one way or another. Either the whole world under control or the whole world free. We all came through that Spica, Arcturus, Libra gate that had been blocked from this realm, from Antarctica, being held in a dome and forced to go down instead of up. So every single one of you, Spica energy is prophetic word. You are prophetic. You can't lie, because what you say becomes real, no matter what. Now, the wisdom and the mastery of this is learning to control what you say. And the wisdom and the mastery of this is learning what you can control. And even if you have to come on and say, we got to drop weight, something's going to fall to the left, it ain't going to pull through the gate, we're going to lose a big chunk of land, it is what it is. Because you're the one who has to deliver the message. And whatever your makeup is. But if you're out here saying this is this, and this is this, and this is this, and I don't care if you're just telling the truth, make sure that you always alchemize it. Don't tell us anything that's going to stick what you just said, because what's been going on down here is all of us have been giving them the very last bit of power that they even have. It was the collective's fault. They want you to do it. They want you to talk about it. They wanted that Mel Gibson movie out. Now, I think Mel Gibson has kind of come to terms a little bit, and I call him Mel Gibson to come help us. Gibbs was another meteor on the moon. Ginsel, another one. It matches the mole on my ankle. It was a lineup. But even the movie, for instance, that Gibson did, I know he's telling everybody how bad it is, and yeah, everybody needs to know, they do, in a way. But in that particular gate, with that movie that was coming out right then, when everything's cosmically aligning and everyone seeing it, it basically created the avenue for it to happen in the first place. Now, that could have been easily solved in the movie if there would have been an address at the very beginning that said, this is what was happening on your planet, and this movie is now here to uncoil it so it can never happen again. If that little statement would have been put at the very beginning of the movie, you wouldn't have had unair-conditioned AMC theaters and lights going off in AMC theaters all over the place when we were trying to hold it. Because that's what was happening. It wasn't that the ops were doing it. No. It's not the ops that's making your internet go down. It's not Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam has... The only place Project Bluebeam's going off is in, like, Saudi. Some of the crazy weird crap that they're seeing coming out of the sky is Bluebeam, but only because it's so sedated, and what you're seeing is actually a mirror of what's really going on here in the United States. So when the angel came up and the dragon came out of the sky and that's all really happening. These last 4 years of us doing all this stuff up in the etherics, it's gonna hit down here. It's why we're telling you. It's why we know. We've been out of time fighting it. Now, here's the other thing that I'll end on. To the whole world, those like me that were template holders, and by the way, we're the ones you sacrificed every single time to get your whatever industry talent, to print your whatever AB negatives. I mean, they were trying to bind me to print Castro and Escobar because they had DNA in the labs, and they were trying to bring these beings back to life in order to control all of y'all. Literally. The whole mob and the mafia, Venezuela, Colombia, Nicaragua, Argentina, and not the people. Not the people. We love the people. The people we're trying to save, not the people. There are people. I'm talking about the mafia cult leadership that got its hands on the seeds. Do you know that we were planted underneath Alcatraz? Your core doomsday seeds were under Alcatraz. This is where Harley Quinn was born. This is why so many of our ancestors went to jail. This is why it's a big deal that 3 escaped, and nobody will tell you. They don't want you to know, because those 3 escaped will know shit. Those 3 that escaped all had the ability and are in the super soldier lines that are the ones of us that are your ascended, that are up there now, all because those 3 escaped. Well, When you're buried and your energetic is attached to pyramids and tombs and attached to the entire collective as it bursts. And then as you birth up in your energy, then you got to take control of Alcatraz first. And you got to clear every single freaking hellraiser and most violent criminal and da-da-da-da-da-da-da before you can get above it. That's why they're our friends. It's why we know all the door guys. It's why you don't want to mess with us. It ain't the people that are the problem. It's the ones who set all this up. And they know. You're talking to the Harlines. You're talking to the Shah. Those of us who are angelic, that's where it came from. Remember Al Capone? Geraldo? Oh, he opened that box all right. Oh, there's something in there. Oh, Pandora is what you'd call it. California. This isn't even what I was going to say to end this, but man, we did all we could do. If you're ascended and you're in California, then you're there for a reason and you're holding. You'll be all right. You'll know what to do. The only reason California is still holding is because we've allowed our ascended to stay there and to hold bubbles of population in certain geogrids to attempt to negate the water wall that's about to come down. And this is all because of what was done in Hawaii in 2018 and how the whole thing was coiled up when that volcano blew in 2018 and the sedation and the lava went down into the keys of the core of the planet and started changing the direction of the planet, and then everything was blipped into a simulation. Now, what you made was a water wall. Well, all of us that were in California, including myself, having to go raw, healing the DNA, and had to completely go to fucking nothing in order to do it because there was no families around us that were the true counts. Instead, we got Biden and Kate Middleton around us in a freaking Calabasas skin crawler, skinwalker spell, which all took place from January 2021 until August 2022 and was the complete taking over of the Stargate and Lionsgate and in 2021, and which is what made us have to go raw to take it all down in 2022, because it wasn't our intention to completely come out of the planet and the simulation. It was too soon. It was never our intention to completely come out of the simulation. It had to be done to save humanity. We were the ones holding your water wall. And you kicked us out of California. And you did a Columbia spell on us on Hermosa Pier in order to put a key in order to a parallel to hold it in a Pleiadian stronghold that was 6 dimensions too high. All the while, we're holding a water wall with our energy. Because as high as that Grand Canyon goes is as deep as it goes, and the way the shelf comes in California, that land sticking out, and then you've got a cliff that goes in underneath like this. And that cliff underneath California goes really, really deep. And so now you've got pulses of water that are boom, boom, Boom! Boom! Bloop! I don't know what to tell you. The collective didn't protect us. No matter how much I screamed, no matter how much I asked, no matter how much I came on and told everybody what was going on, to the extent that I was called crazy and then taken to court in Collin County, where they stole my company in order to completely cut me off from my son, who was lab made to hold this with me. So since he was lab made to hold this with me, and I lost all connection to him only because I'm coming on here telling you what's really going on, and I'm being called crazy. And since the collective then locked me into a Pegasus tower on 6th Street, and then everyone went Johnson Government, Department of Defense, Alabama, freaking Cloneville on my ass, and nobody's called me back into California in order to fix it. Nobody. Nobody's invited me to California in order to be there to hold it, to fix it. Because it is all it would take is for me to be there. Because I'm the one who put the skeleton keys to take it down. But since that hasn't happened, that wall of water ain't holding. And everything's set up from Texas up. And it's already done. There's nothing anybody can do to change it. Not to mention, and I've started saying this a few times on these videos, and then when I went back and watched, I never finished the part, and I think it was because, no, I'm about to start crying. I love California. I really do. When I left California 2022 to get back to Texas, if you drive that route, it's a straight, I mean, you're on one highway through the desert forever. And it's an east to west maneuver. Especially to get to the top of Texas, because where I am up here in Texas, I'm only 30 minutes from the Oklahoma border. It's a straight shot. And I've got pictures, and actually when we hang up from here, I'll put it on my feed. My GPS, the entire 24-hour drive home, had me going straight from Florida, straight up. I wasn't on the West Coast. I was on the East Coast. I thought I was on the West Coast, but I wasn't. The Lemuria land that's coming up, that's the true land that's being pushed up from out of the ocean, out of a water gate, is all rising between Florida and Africa. And I believe now that that's where I was fighting this. And it makes sense because we dealt with Venezuela. Over 500 were arrested in Venezuela. There were children around me that were being let out in suitcases. It was defending a Stargate. Like, I had to go toe-to-toe with a Haka demon. We had to resurrect all the New Orleans harvest girls, so which meant every harvest girl that was ever murdered and killed under any ritual in New Orleans in order for them to be able to come back and after death. That had to be redone. We walked the whole thing. The mayor of Anaheim was taken out. There wasn't a mayor in Anaheim the whole time I was there. in order for us to do it. Every single 7-Eleven commercial real estate was paying rent in California. Any 7-Eleven in California was paying rent to San Francisco. San Francisco and San Diego were under a 33 Masonic, demonic, satanic stronghold that was attached up to Detroit like a web. They got into California by using me, which is why I was there to fix it, because I could, because they used me to get into your state. Is why the skeleton keys went in on the harvest moon in September 2022. Is why you're seeing beings blow out of the sun. It's why you're seeing the face. It's why you're seeing the Z. It's why you're seeing what looks like people walking on the sun, because the skeleton keys went in. To line this up. All the while, everybody in Looking Glass and in government involved, watching the whole thing, not helping, except for to send their police to run a raid off of our information so that they can get the credit of arresting XYZ, but all the while holding the rest of the data and knowing who we were and attacking us because they'd never lost before. And that's just the truth. For all 7 of y'all on here, I thank you so much. This is a very high-level message. Not everyone needs to hear it. This is Divine Timelines. So I'm not exactly sure, and we never know exactly sure how it's going to manifest. So if you're in California, and you hear this, call your conscious friends. Command to connect to the skeleton keys of the cosmos. Just make that command. Because the way that they had it roped was 6 dimensions too high. And the maneuvers that I had to move in California was like Spider-Man getting rid of this old antimatter, because it was the last of the antimatter, and that's what they were using it to make more of. And so the antimatter was having to be roped over the freeways and pulling freeways down and all of that, because it was being mirrored in another dimension. And really it was the lost angels, and we freed them all. And that's going to create a massive land change. Now, how it's going to line up is how it needs to line up whenever a cosmos is coming into a simulation. It's why you have your ascended, and it's why for the past 4 years, all of us have been in and out of California so many times. Arizona, New Mexico, inside of California, outside of California, laying channels, and all of us angels have done everything we can, everything possible in order to make this not happen. But every single energy that we laid is still there. But there's a dump that has to take place over there, and there's a wall of water that's coming. I love y'all. Brenda. Remember, whenever you put the flowers out, can you take flowers to where the Druid temple used to be on your land? Even if you just pick them around you. Take some flowers to where that temple was. Wherever I put this stick in the rock. Or the tree. It's an important connection to Hawaii right there. Brenda was in my crew Ascension. And that's Porterina. She's on here right now, which even tells me this is really happening. Do you remember where it is? Is the land still there? I don't care if the tree's not there or not. Just where that area was. Go take something and put some intention there. A physical human connection. Of course it's been harvested. Of course they pulled it down. Just in where that was, up there at the top of that little rook. Take something with life over there. Flowers. Take a vegetable. What's today? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And FYI, you know, that's fine. We're kind of like in this weird... And the reason this is going to pop off is because all of their New Year spells they're still doing. I just got a report yesterday that one of them's in London signing contracts. Without us. They weren't going to stop. They weren't going to let us out. They weren't going to let us negotiate. It was never going to happen. So the reason that we're in this weird flux right now is because the spell is going to drop on the 31st. And so I'm saying that right now because it's the 29th. And even me going to get my phone, I'm not going to get it for 2 to 3 days. Everything's been 2 to 3 to 4 days. And it's good. We don't want to do it all at once because it'll happen too quick. And my today might happen for y'all tomorrow, or my today is your yesterday. You know, we're merging these 30 days because this is the 13th month. Basically, is this new 30 days that we put into effect, and in a lot of ways, January this year will be our Ophiuchian month. That's never really been done before, but just like they was doing leap year. And holding up time and then dropping it on us. That's basically what us, the collective, did with the Ophiuchian 13th month, except since August, we've had 3 sets of 10 days that equaled 0 point to culminate for the story in order to elevate and to merge it. And in a lot of ways, January 1, when Mercury goes direct, Jupiter goes direct tomorrow. Tomorrow is what we've all been waiting for. We've all been waiting for Jupiter to go direct. It goes direct tomorrow. Mercury goes direct on the 1st. So really you can think of between now and the end of the year is really one day. And think that in all your moves. You don't have to get anywhere today. Do I need to wait to today, or do I need to do it tomorrow? If there's something that's pressing in your life right now that you feel like you've got to hurry up and go do, I need you to stop, and I need you to check in and ask yourself if you're on the right time count, or are you supposed to wait till tomorrow? between now and the end of the year, when you go out of your house or even in your house, clean your house, do whatever, realize it's connected to a much bigger alchemy, and your setting might be trying to get you to do it too soon or too late. Both ways. And I love you too. I just got a message. I love you. Because a lot of us were off a day, off a month, off an hour. And with this whole Michelle Michael clearing and this 3-legged dog problem being solved, that was one of the things that happened. We had to true up a minute. And as soon as we called it in, it did. It trued it up. But then yesterday, we had to deal with that minute in the technology. Because we weren't dealing with human. You're dealing with the program subconscious layer that's saying, okay, now you need to go do this. We'll just check in and make sure and follow your intuition. And remember, your body is the computer. So you can literally say, right hand itch when I'm supposed to do that. Program your body to tell you when you're supposed to do it. Little signs that come through your body, because your body is going to know when to make the move. And not just forward or backward. Don't just do a pendulum body test, because that can easily be thrown off when you start realizing how that all works. Especially because we don't have a pole. I'm going to itch my face, or my foot's going to hurt, or whatever it is. Say, command that, and then start following those signs, and then it tells you, and then what it'll show you is when that energy picks up, when you finally feel, okay, it's time to go, and your hand itches, then that feeling energetically of knowing when is going to set to where you start understanding the current, because the real is so much more passive than their crazy simulation. This is where we lost a lot of beings, because everyone thought it was your intuition, but it was like literally someone screaming instructions in your ear. If you are getting very clear intuition where it's like, go to the store right now and buy pickles. If you're hearing that, that's not natural. That's not natural. It's not how it comes in. There's an element to all of it in the true intuition and into the base knowledge that requires your input, that requires some piece of it for you to have to fill in the blanks. If it's coming through that clear, it's a parallel false recording. And if you're getting them that clear, then hurrah, because that's how clear you should be hearing the other messages. But if they're saying, go to the store right now and okay, run that through your other filter. Because evidently you're supposed to leave. Evidently you're supposed to go to the store. You're supposed to buy something. Probably not pickles. But you're not supposed to do it right then. They want you to go do it. There's a reason they're telling you to go do it. But now you've got to second guess it, because it's going to be a slight version change. Then you get used to figuring out which pieces that you should be doing. Because as soon as you make that alteration and you go do it, and then you are shown over the next 3 days what happened in the world, in the state, in your body, whatever, then that tells you and shows you what alterations you need to make to all the messages, and then it just starts coming in that way, and you stop hearing that because your setting changes. Thank you for sharing the live. Thank you. Thank you. So, I don't even know. is 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So this is the 44. I command the 44 parallel made in 2018 foundation to concrete is what I'm hearing. Concrete. I command the missile scare in Hawaii never happened. I command 2018 and Mauna Kea never was taken over. I command the spell was never put on Mauna Kea. I command that no male was ever put in charge of Hawaii and Mauna Kea. I command that no Joseph character, i.e. Michael character, within the simulation and the programs ever led us astray. I command that all is designed the way it should be in the cosmic divine timelines, and any interception of a timeline after 2018 never happened. And I command it to align. I also now make a command for all characters that offer their protection from the highest, that have walked for Michael, that have had to take over Michael's pursuits. And again, I don't judge because the worst was done to Michael. I know that because I had to ascend his program. But I command that we all be risen up to protect in his stead. And I command all resources that Michael had in his availability in order to protect said masses to be given to those of us who are actually doing the protection, so that we can assist the world in healing. Because if we don't start healing, y'all, there ain't going to be no money. If we don't start healing, y'all, there ain't going to be no electricity. If we don't start healing, y'all, there ain't going to be no water. That's how important it is for us to get what we have out in broadcasting, and that's how important it is to get the new archetypes out. That's how important it is for not just documentaries, but even entertainment, movies, to be utilizing the higher current propaganda codes, and you're being told what they are. That's the key. In each one of them, you're told what they are, so that you know how to utilize them to create your own reality. The more of us that are using them, the faster the reality changes, because it's one foundation code. It's not just a bunch of fucking sacrificed gimp demons that are walking around with the directions. Well, the Michelles and the Michaels with the whole thing, but the feminine took the lead. The feminine in Gemini took the lead. It's not a man. It's a girl. And thank you for saying that. But that is what the programs were set up. It's basically like they set up the Michelles and the Shelleys in that whole program in order to even intercept the Michael. That's why I don't give any judgment even to the ones who sacrificed and did all this shit to me. I feel sorry for them, because I know how it happened in space, and I know how it happened in time, and they didn't sacrifice me. They didn't sacrifice you. They sacrificed themselves. In fact, in my world, Michael stole his own money and set himself up for it. In my world, Michael stole his own money from me, which really was stealing it from himself, because I was in the in-between, and then tried to set up me, because they always did. They always tried to set up our line to take the fall on land, because when money goes missing, I don't care if you know what the current is or not, or the change of the current, then they would come and say, oh, you did it. That's how all of our people ended up in jail. But in this round, because we were from the future and we changed 1800 years and we were just on the in-between, basically what he did was steal his own money and set himself up to take the fall for it. and wouldn't listen. That's why the shifts are going to change. The beings that were holding up pillars now aren't. The whole infrastructure is going higher. That fourth leg is now lifting up to override Zeta. And it ain't just one little, it's whop. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm going to pick one of these and upload it. And go check out my YouTube attached to this, because I've been uploading these live. So if you miss it or want to share it, I'm uploading these over to YouTube so that you can watch them again, because I know it's so much information, and sometimes you just want to hear it playing in the background, because little things that I say trigger your program in a gazillion different other topics. Love y'all.